Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS Academy. Welcome to our daily newspaper analysis. I hope everyone is fit and fine, right? Okay. Okay, Chetu. Nice to hear that you are seeing our live lecture for today, right? Okay. I hope everyone is fit and fine. Now the festivities are over of yesterday. We are back again with our, let's say, daily Hindu newspaper analysis of today. Very, very important session, and we're going to discuss it in detail, right? So, starting off, Supreme Court has said very, very important related to hate speech. Now, let's try to look what has been the statement that has been given by the Supreme Court. The anchors or the panelists have to be very clear that they cannot go on TV and speak their minds whichever way they want. This is not the exercise of freedom. Freedom comes with responsibility. So the thing that Supreme Court here wants to say is that this shall not be promoted, that is hate speech on the basis of religion. If a person has a freedom of speech and expression, then it also have certain responsibility as well as a citizen of the country, that their expressions are not amounting to hate speech, because then it can have a very, very, let's say, bad impact on the interest of the country. So as a result, Supreme Court has said government should step in where religious freedom, harmony and orderly progress are gravely affected. जहां पे लग रहा है रिलीजियस फ्रीडम ऑर्डर वगैरह इफेक्ट हो रहा है, there it has to be make sure that the government intervenes. And one thing Supreme Court has rightly said, that the anchors and the panelists have to be make sure that they are saying something on the, let's say, a public platform. They have to be very, very aware that their actions or their words could have a very, very important effect on the people. So as a result, it is the duty of the people that if they have freedom of speech and expression, then they also have a responsibility. And this comes to the very most or important saying that we know, with great power comes great responsibility. So this is the case of the freedom and the power that they have, and they have to make sure they are using it with a full, in a very responsible manner. So this is our front page news for today. The buck stops with the government to end hate speech. अगर ऐसी hate speech हो रही है, then it is the responsibility of the government to intervene and end this particular thing. चलिए, so this was our main important first news for today. Moving on to the second news. Rise in government capital spending pushes up investment by 53%. Now we are almost, let's say, talk about GDP numbers. One thing is we can talk it from, let's say, if I am talking about GDP numbers, I can do that, let's say, through value addition method, or I can talk it from the expenditure method. यही दो चीजें अगर हमें बात करनी है, if I would talk to, or you have to calculate the aggregate GDP. This here we take into account the gross value added, right? But if we talk about the expenditure method, let's say, then GDP is the aggregator or the sum of private final consumption expenditure, government expenditure, private capital expenditure. This is the consumption expenditure, this is the capital expenditure, plus net export minus import expenditure. This is how we are able to calculate GDP over the entire country, if I talk about this particular GDP. Now here, what the basic article wants to say, that rise in government capital spending pushes up investments by 53%. Now this thing is very, very interesting, because there is a rise in what? Government capital spending, that is the government expenditure. As a result, investments are up by 53%. That means if the expenditure is taking place on the, let's say, on the capital expenditure, then it is mainly driven by the government sector as compared to private sector. This is the important thing that this particular article wants to highlight, that it has been the rise in government capital spending. And I think you can see over here there have been figures that have been given related to this particular thing only, right? So ये चीज बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है और ये समझनी बहुत ज्यादा क्या है, जरूरी है. तो ये चीज बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. राइज इन गवर्नमेंट कैपिटल स्पेंडिंग पुशेस अप इन्वेस्टमेंट बाय 53%. सी, जब इस तरीके की कोई न्यूज आती है ना, वन थिंग यू हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट आपको सिर्फ ट्रेंड्स पता होने चाहिए. यू नीड टू नो द ट्रेंड्स रादर देन remembering the data. It becomes very very difficult to remember the data. So the good part shall be that आप इसके ट्रेंड्स को पता कर रहे हो, आपको ये पता चल रहा है how you have to calculate the GDP. Correct? So this is a particular thing that you have to understand. Okay. Moving to the next part. Nothing that much important here, and I think everyone is aware of the situation that has happened in Tamil Nadu. A lot of articles are coming on, a lot of editorials are coming on. Today we're going to discuss another article related to this Tamil Nadu governor thing, related to presidential address or the governor address at the commencement of each year. What are the various provisions from where we have taken? Are there serious things or what shall be the role of the governor? So हम एक editorial में discuss करेंगे. Okay. Moving to the next part. Okay. Now one thing that is very very important in this particular editorial or this particular article, not editorial article, that Kollam is first constitution literate district. Now अब ये बहुत ही अलग चीज हुई है. It is a very very अलग we can say different thing that has happened under the initiative of the citizen. Very important. There is an initiative that is going on in this particular area of Kollam in Kerala, where a campaign is being run by Kollam District Panchayat, District Planning Committee and Kerala Institute of Local Administration. Around 16.3 lakh people in the district above the age of 10 have been educated on various aspects of the constitution. अब ये चीज बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है. Under this campaign, people in this particular district are being educated on the various aspects of the constitution so that people are at least aware of their basic rights, basic provisions. So as a result, this particular Kollam area is the first constitutional literate district under the initiative that is in the citizen. Very important. Initiative का नाम क्या है? The Citizen. I hope you are able to get this particular point that Kollam is our now first constitutional literate district. Okay. बेटा थोड़ा ध्यान से समझा करो, कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर की बात हो रही है यहां पे, कंजम्पशन एक्सपेंडिचर की बात नहीं हो रही है. ठीक है? ओके. मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. Okay. Moving to the editorial, nothing that much important here. See, again yesterday we discussed about this parliamentary sovereignty thing. I think this is absolutely clear to everyone that Vice President has a different take on it, and it was saying that National Judicial Appointment Commission shall not have been struck down, but there is a lot of debate that is going between executive and the judiciary that has to be resolved, and this is a particular editorial related to this particular thing only, telling us about how this Keshwananda Bharti case, from where our basic structure of the constitution, basically this doctrine was evolved, and how in subsequent cases judicial review has been made the part of the basic structure of the constitution. So इस चीज के लिए ये आर्टिकल बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, that is bound supremacy, right? So this is basically saying parliamentary sovereignty isn't undone by the basic structure doctrine. So they are saying basic structure doctrine cannot undermine the parliamentary sovereignty, and that is absolutely correct as well, and we have to understand it as well, right? चलो, moving to the next part now. अब ये चीज बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है समझनी. क्यों समझने की जरूरत है? लेट्स ट्राई टू सी. वी ऑल नो अबाउट द इशू दैट इज गोइंग ऑन बिटवीन Tamil Nadu governor and the state of Tamil Nadu. Let's say between the CM of Tamil Nadu, right? अब इशू क्या था? इशू वॉज रिलेटेड टू आर गवर्नर वॉकिंग आउट ऑफ द, बेसिकली तमिलनाडु गवर्नर वॉकिंग आउट ऑफ द, लेट्स से इट्स we could say walking out of the assembly. Now one thing we have to understand that there is a constitutional provision under article 87 and one article is article 176. अब ये दो आर्टिकल बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है समझने के लिए. If I am talking about article 87, it is the duty of the president and here it is the duty of the governor that they have to address each year. Let's say they have to address the joint sitting of both the houses of the parliament commencing each year, and their governor has to address the sessions of the assembly where there is single assembly, where there is a council as well. Then they have to address both the assembly and the council each year. They have to do this. This is very very mandatory and it is being given under the, let's say, our constitutional provisions. तो ये constitutional provisions बहुत ज़्यादा important है, article 87 and 176. Now what is the basic purpose? Basic purpose is regarding what is the, let's say, I have written two words, executive and legislature. It is basically informing the members about the executive policies and legislative programs of the state government. So as a result, that address becomes very very important because this is the speech that has been created by the executive. So the members shall also know what are the various schemes, what are the various policies, what are the various schemes that have been implemented by the state government. Now the problem was there related to certain sections that were being omitted. Certain sections that were being omitted. Now one thing we have to understand, that this particular thing of addressing the session, we have taken it from the UK, that is from UK House of Commons. And one thing we have to understand, that it is the convention where the governor has to make sure that he is exactly reading the same speech as it is being delivered to him or her. ये उनकी constitutional, अगर हम बात करें, it is a convention, it is not a provision under the constitution. So this thing happened in Tamil Nadu where the governor did not, let's say, omitted certain portions. As a result, it has created a huge, if we can call it, huge storm in this particular, let's say, arena of Tamil Nadu politics. One thing we have to understand, that the governor role is very very important. Governor role is very very important. He is the one that is having the position of constitutional head of the state. I think this shall be clear to everyone. His main purpose shall be that there shall be smooth functioning of the government. He should work on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers, and he should make sure government is formed and is carrying on according to the mandate of the people. According to the mandate of the people. Now these are few roles and responsibilities that are there of the governor. Very very important. But somehow governor, when they are using their discretionary powers, they are not, let's say, respecting the basic office that is there being made in order to, let's say, have the smooth functioning of the state government. One thing that goes in their favor is when they are acting in their official act, they are being granted legal immunity. They are being granted under Article 361, that is the legal immunity for the acts which are done in their official capacity. So as a result, certainly we have seen there have been certain misuse of power, and we have to make sure that this particular thing gets resolved as quickly as possible, because we want smooth functioning of democracy and we want cooperative federalism. तो इस चीज को बनाए रखने के लिए ये बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. There are not this type of tensions that are being shall be building in this particular state arena. So two things very important. You need to remember the articles, that is article 87 and article 176. Article 87 and article 176 and article 361. And article 361. This is related to the joint address by the president, this is related to the address by the governor, and this is related to the legal immunity, because this happened regarding the relation to the new year, or we could say the start of the new year address. So this particular thing becomes very important, and we can certainly expect a questions on this in our upcoming 2023 prelims exam. I hope my point is clear to everyone. Let's try to go on to the next part, that is deep fakes. That is deep fakes. नहीं, addressing the sessions में मतलब joint sitting को ही address करना है, इसका मतलब यही है राजेंद्र. Okay, I hope you have got this particular thing. Now very interesting news, that is deep fakes, and we have to make sure that we try to discuss this particular thing in detail. Now let's try to understand what is deep fakes. Deepfake is a type of artificial intelligence where you are using certain image, voice, text, audio in order to spread misguided information. In order to spread misguided information, or you could be looking for harming the reputation of a particular entity. This is this particular definition of deepfakes, and it has been constantly in the news if I talk about this type of artificial intelligence. So let's try to see what is this deepfakes and what are the concerns related to it, and concerns related to India's neighborhood as well, and what are the various laws that we have in order to, let's say, make sure that this type of things could be addressed. Now listen to this very carefully, it is very important from our exam point of view. Concerns is, first of all, that is misguided information. People are not able to distinguish, you can write these points as well. People are not able to distinguish between fact versus fiction. This is one of the first concern that we have. Let's talk about the second concern that we have. It is related to using of this particular deepfake technology for pornographic incidents or cases where you are able to tarn or hamper the reputation of a certain person. Reputation of certain person. This is the second biggest concern. The third biggest concern is financial fraud. Now these type of cases we have already seen that is happening all across the globe, because you can mimic certain voice as well. As a result, there could be the case of fund transfer to the person that it was not intended to. So as a result, these are the three particular concerns this article wants to say: misguided information, pornographic cases, and financial frauds. Now if I talk about India's neighborhood, then I think everyone knows that in Taiwan, in China, and in India as well, this technology could be used to influence elections as well. Very important. भाई लोगों के ओपिनियन चेंज हो सकते हैं, राइट? Influence options and have an impact on the elections as well, because you could be using certain else person's image or voice to, let's say, spread misguided information that could have a great and a devastating impact on the elections. So one of the thing is that is concerned that it could be used in, let's say, upcoming 2024 general election. The second major concern that we have in relation to, let's say, it could be used for espionage activities. Very important. It could be used for espionage activities. Now I think by using, or let's say by having the fake video or audio of a certain person, of a military person or intelligence person, you can use that particular thing in order to blackmail a particular person, and as a result you can divulge a lot of secret and confidential information. As a result, that is basically espionage activities. And the third major concern is you would not be able to, let's say, in the coming future try to decide what is real and what is fake, and as a result you can, let's say, disregard authentic data as well. You can disregard authentic data as well. Now these are the certain types of concerns that we have with the deepfake technology. That is misguided information, pornographic cases, financial fraud, use in the elections, then espionage activities and disregard to authentic information. One thing we have to understand, that there is lot of, let's say, if we talk about consequences, consequences are like defamation of a particular person, right? Let's say display of sexually explicit content of a particular person, spreading false information in order to influence particulars opinions in, let's say, relation to elections. If I talk about India, India do not have any comprehensive law in relation to the protection of this particular thing, let's say related to artificial intelligence. But there are certain provisions that are there in various sections or acts that tries to prevent one or two things, like section 500 of IPC is for the defamation, IT Act 67 and 67A is basically sexually explicit content के related है, and then we have Representation of People's Act 1951 related to spreading false information. Now these acts we can say are not that much comprehensive if we have to tackle the menace of deepfakes. If we have to tackle the menace of deep fakes, then this particular sections are not, we could say, good enough. We have to bring in a certain legislation that tries to bring or curb the consequences of deep fakes. I hope this point is clear to everyone. This was the thing that was given in this particular editorial, right? Okay. हाँ जी, अगर आपको समझ में आ गया, टाइप yes in the comment box so that I am able to know how much you have got. अगर किसी का डाउट भी है तो पूछ भी सकते हो. Okay, I think everyone is aware of the Joshimath situation, right? Now, nothing that much important, same news is coming. Okay, one thing you need to know, that now MV Ganga Vilas has been cruised off by our Prime Minister. MV Ganga Vilas has been cruised off by our Prime Minister. ओके हाँ जी, ठीक है. हाँ, प्रोविजन एड्रेसिंग का अगर हम बात करें, उन्हीं से लिया गया, यूके से. ओके, नाउ दिस पर्टिकुलर क्रूज हैज बीन नाउ वेव्ड ऑफ फ्रॉम वाराणसी टू दिब्रूगढ़ इन असम. It will travel 3200 kilometers in 51 days. It would cover 5 states along with Bangladesh. And it is the first indigenously made cruise vessel in India. Now this thing becomes very, very important if we talk about, because it is very, very important for the development of our inland waterways. It is very, very important for our tourism. It is very, very important for our cultural and heritage tourism. And one thing that is very, very important, because it is connecting across the states of Northeast as well. So it is very, very important for the development of Northeast as well. It is very, very important for the development of Northeast as well. So this MV Ganga Vilas is very, very important. It would be taking from Varanasi, going till Dibrugarh. It would be passing through iconic locations such as Sundarbans, Kaziranga National Park in Assam, Sundarbans in India and Bangladesh. So this thing becomes very, very important, and it would be passing through, let's say, Bihar, Patna. All these states would be covered by this particular MV Ganga Vilas, and it is a very, very important and a healthy step in making sure that we have a development of inland waterways. Inland waterways. ठीक है, ये वर्ल्ड का लॉन्गेस्ट रिवर क्रूज होगा, ये चीज बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है, याद रखना, इट इज द वर्ल्ड्स लॉन्गेस्ट रिवर क्रूज, राइट. सो दिस न्यूज इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. नाउ, marriage of minor girls, Supreme Court to check legality of personal law. Now, one thing we have to understand that there are certain sections that tries to, let's say, debar marriage below the age of 18 years. Recently, a bill was proposed that increase the marriageable age of women from 18 to 21. Now, one thing we have to understand that is very, very important. In certain religions, women are, let's say, children are married, girls are married at the age of 14 or 15 years. Now, here the government or the Supreme Court has said they would check the legalities of the personal law related to the marriage of minor girls, because here we can see certain section of POSCO are violated. Certain section of Prevention of Children from Sexual Offences Act, certain provisions are violated. So, as a result, they have to see whether this personal laws could be applied to this particular marriageable age of the girls as well. So, we have to see what Supreme Court decides on this particular thing. Okay. Nothing that much important here. Okay, one thing we have to understand that the panel on SC status for Dalit converts awaits staff and budget. One thing we have to understand, in October, the commission of inquiry headed by CJI, that is KG Balakrishnan. He has been the former Chief Justice of India, under whom a particular commission of inquiry was appointed in order to make sure whether SC status could be given for Dalit converts or not. SC status could be given for Dalit converts or not, whether this could be happening or not. So, it was a basically commission of inquiry that was formed, and it has been given 2 years to gather the report and report the finding and give it to the government. Now, the basic problem that they are basically finding is that they do not have the permanent building, they do not have the permanent staff, and they do not have the required number of funds for carrying out this particular activity, whether the SC status could be given again to Dalit converts or not, right. So, this thing becomes very very important, right. अब एक स्कीम है जहां पे आप देख सकते हो, स्वनिधि स्कीम, PM Swanidhi has aided over 9,000 street food vendors. I hope everyone is aware of this particular thing, that is Swanidhi scheme. It was launched during the COVID so as to provide capital to, let's say, basically the street vendors. There is a lot of provision that is given under this Swanidhi scheme. Earlier, let's say, initially for the first year, capital would be 10,000. For the next year, 20,000. If they are able to repay the loan and the interest amount, then they could be eligible for the amount of capital of 50,000 in the third year. So, this thing becomes very very important, that PM Swanidhi has aided over 9,000 street food vendors, and this particular scheme is for the street vendors, right. So, ये चीज बड़ी interesting है for you guys to know. Okay, nothing important in our foreign page. We have already discussed what is leading the growth of our country, right. So, this is it guys. We have already discussed the economics news that was there in our front page. If you have any questions, you can ask me. If you have any doubt, I would be happy to solve your doubt, right. Okay, ask your doubts. See, one thing you have to understand, that in this particular, let's say, our newspapers, दो ही चीजें आ रही हैं. एक तो तमिलनाडु गवर्नर एंड हिज स्टफ, we can say the problem it is going on, tussle going on between the, let's say, the CMs, and the second is between executive and judiciary, and then there are certain news that we have to understand, right. Yes, जोशीमठ तो लाइमलाइट में है ही है, लैंड सब्साइडेंस की प्रॉब्लम है ही है, and we have to see in the future what is being done by the government in order to spread or in order to contain this particular cracks or this unsustainable development, right. हाँ जी, any other doubt anyone has, you can ask me. I would be happy to answer you all. Okay, chalo guys, thank you so much for taking time. See you now on Monday 9 AM with our Hindu newspaper analysis. Till time, take care, bye bye, have fun, bye bye. Okay, someone has a question. Basically, Musina Mohammed, it is basically related to passing of bills. That is what is we call it the veto power. Because governor doesn't take any action, then it is we call the veto power is related to the passage of the bills or giving assent to the bills. What is the story of Tamil Nadu government? You have to see the whole lecture or analysis if you want to listen to the whole story of Tamil Nadu government. One thing you have to make sure that वहाँ पे जो policies हैं कुछ अलग हैं, and as a result a tussle is going on between their model, what they're trying to say, that is the Dravidian model, and as a result they're trying to, let's say, somehow there's a tussle that is going between the governor, we could say he is a, let's say, appointed by the ruling party, so there are a lot of tussles. Okay, chaliye ji, thank you so much, take care, bye bye, see you on Monday 9 a.m. Thank you so much.